Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today on Face Off. This one had several different to choose from. The question I asked was, if you could get a spinoff of 6 to 8 episodes, Hey guys, today we're going to talk about some poll results. And the question was, if you could get a spinoff about 6 to 8 episodes long, basically a mini-series, about the adventures of a previous Doctor, which one would you pick and why? And boy, was this one a runaway. I was not expecting this one to be a runaway. But McGann owned this poll. The 8th Doctor just stole this poll and ran away with it. I was not expecting that. Even someone in the comments was like, you had to know how this was going to go. And I was like, look, I knew the 8th Doctor was going to get votes. I knew he would do well. I didn't expect for him to just run away with the poll. But out of the 5 listing, the 5 choices I gave, because you can only do up to 5 on these polls, which was the 1st Doctor with David Bradley as him, the 8th Doctor, the 11th Doctor, the 12th Doctor, and the 13th Doctor, although I wish I had thought to put Sean Pertwee as the 3rd Doctor in there, but I didn't think of it. The 8th Doctor just ran away with it. He had 83% of the vote. 83%. Out of 5 choices, he just grabbed the baton and went and was gone. Now, in second place was the 1st Doctor with David Bradley playing him, and right behind him, David Bradley, the 1st Doctor, had 7% of the vote. Right behind him at 6% was the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, and those were the 2 I figured might do well. I figured people might want, first Doctor stories with David Bradley, and I know a lot of people like Capaldi. Maybe they would like some Capaldi stories, maybe set with him and Bill, or even between him and Bill. Maybe there's another companion there we don't know about. 3% voted for the 11th Doctor and give me a second. Coming in with 0%, the 13th Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker. Now, I know she had a couple votes. At one point, the 13th Doctor managed to get up to a whopping 1%. But at the time of recording, it's gone back down to 0%. It's not even registering the 1%. It's at 0%. With 204 votes, it's at 0%. And they put her on the cover of the new limited edition Region A release of the series 1 through 13 box set. They put her on the front cover. You can have it. You can keep it. So the 13th Doctor with... I was trying to play that all serious. It wasn't happening. Oh, okay. Composure. Composure. Come on, you're theatrically trained, Prowl. Give me the gift of a grip-top sock, a dip-drape, ship-shape, tip-top sock. Not a slip-stick, slapstick, slick, slack, swap, but a plastic, elastic, grip-top sock. Ooh. Here we are. The 13th Doctor with 0%. So yes, the 8th Doctor running away with this poll with 83%, with everyone else combining for the other 17%. And to be fair, I would have voted for the 8th Doctor too. I would love to have more of McGann. McGann needs more screen time. He's a great Doctor. Listening to a couple of his Big Finish stories now. I've listened to Storm Warning and I've listened to Chimes of Midnight. I enjoyed both of them. He really is a good Doctor. It's amazing what he can do in the audios with just his voice. Of course, with the accompanying sound effects and fellow good cast members and good incidental music. I'm really enjoying his Doctor, and he definitely deserves more screen time. I'd love to get 6 to 8 episodes with him in a mini-series. That'd be so much fun. Let's see what you guys had to say. XO8 Chill said it has to be 8. I'd love to see him in a series of one-off adventures, different writers for each, and from different stages of his life. At least one with Charlie, one with Lucy, one with Liv and Helen, along with a solo Time War outing. Finally, maybe a two-parter to end the series that leads into Night of the Doctor, allowing 8 a final full story before Night of the Doctor acts as his regeneration and epilogue. Space 1999. Man, that sounds like a great name for a TV show, doesn't it? Says, I've gone for the 8th, but it depends on the showrunner too. I'd be curious to see how good Jodie would be with a decent writer and showrunner. And that's fair. Especially a decent showrunner that would have told her, hey, go watch some of the previous Doctors instead of the exact opposite. 5SSS says McGann is criminally underrated. McGann is criminally underused, sadly. I think a lot of people actually do enjoy him. Brewster-4 says, I would go with the 11th because he's the best, and I think a Trenzalore spinoff would be cool. 7 Casanova says, I think 8 would be the most logical as there's just so much to see, most to see with him that we got originally and with Night of the Doctor. Steven, it's good to see Steven back. He's been back in the comments recently. It's good to see him back. Says, the first Doctor is my favorite, and I do like Bradley. So I voted for that. I'd love to see a 60th style story done with modern techniques. I will say, though, that McGann definitely deserves it far more. He is underrepresented, and I think it's what fans would prefer to see regardless. Lee Carroll says, definitely 8. I considered 1, but not sure where it would fit, and seeing as the first Doctor's run is pretty much continuous. You can go back earlier to 1 and Susan, but from the sound of things, they weren't doing a lot. Jake says, the 8th Doctor is my least favorite main numbered Doctor, but I feel he's the most deserving of another chance. Also, it will stop the people on Twitter asking for this every day. Ha ha. True enough. Alisticious, I always like that name, says, I feel like you knew what the results of this would be. Again, I didn't. I knew 8 would do well. I didn't know 8 would just run with it. My second choice would be the first Doctor because they have the actor to... Oh, girl I'm talking with is texting me good night. She goes to bed very early because she gets up early in the morning. Sorry. My second choice would be the first Doctor because they have an actor to do this, but the really clear choice for me anyway is the 8th Doctor because the people deserve to see him on screen, and he's stolen the show whenever he has. Naomi says, I'm sure you would expect me to pick Jodie Whittaker, but I'm going with Paul McGann because we don't have a lot of him in the main show, and I'd like to see his adventures. As much as I love Jodie Whittaker, I want to see more of Paul McGann. I'm planning on getting some of his Big Finish audio adventures, but he is the Doctor I know so little about. Well, Storm Warning is his first audio adventure. It's really good, and then Chimes of Midnight is legendary, and I just listened to it for the first time a few days ago, and it is phenomenal. Dom, it's always good to see Dom back. This could be the shortest thing Dom has ever written. Dom tends to write the encyclopedia entries, but I always love them. They're always a great read. Dom says, of those, I'd choose 8, although I'd want 90s 8 and not New Who 8 personally. I especially like the novel's take on 8, although I think that would clash with the image of the Doctor in 8 specifically that the modern series and fan base has built up. But I'd also love more second Doctor, and I'm biased. More 7 wouldn't hurt at all, although as with 8, it depends on how the show around them is written. I've really no interest in forcing these older Doctors into a Moffat-era style show. Fair enough. Fair enough. Sid Hill Bruiser Music says, I went for the first Doctor, but only because it would be cool if David Bradley discovered how to giggle like Hartnell. It's as if he's based his entire act on the very first episode. He needs to watch the Romans to find out what the first Doctor is really like. I love the Romans. I love the Romans. II237 says, all of them really, and how about more? Third Doctor played by Sean Pertwee. I wish I'd thought to put that on the list because it's a great idea. I would love Sean Pertwee to step into his father's shoes. if he wants to do that, if he is okay with doing that. Says, obsessed with this since that amazing Halloween pic of him dressed up as 3. I've seen that pic. That is a good pic. Krusty Chris says, I would pick 6. He helps the twins from the twin dilemma to solve crimes in a murder mystery series. That would be a hilarious parody, like the Five Doctors reboot. That would be funny. Simon says, the 8th Doctor deserves more screen time and was brilliant in Night of the Doctor and Power of the Doctor. He also should have had the slot given to John Hurt in the 50th anniversary. Major error from Moffat there, in my opinion. I agree. I love having John Hurt as a doctor, as the War Doctor. He's great. But that should have been McGann. Richard English says, well, Jodie, obviously, but with Eric Sayward as the script editor. That way, the much more interesting guest cast get to take center stage while the Doctor spends most of the episode stuck in the TARDIS away from the action. And then he says, nah, just kidding. Or am I? Actually, I want to bring necromancy into this and bring Patrick Troughton back from the dead. Who wouldn't want a mini-series exploring the season 6B theory? Of course, with the aid of magic, we could also have a D.H. Fraser Hines and Wendy Padbury, too. Hey, I would love that. If they ever get to the point with, like, deep fake technology where it's just like you either can't tell or you can barely tell, I'm all for that. I know some people have issues with that. I'd be all for that. Especially as long as, like, you know, the families were getting paid and they had their permission, like if David and Michael Troughton signed off on it and they were cool with it. Philip says, based on the state of this poll at the moment, I think they should do a new Jodie episode called The Pointless Child. Ryan Tablet says, we need more 8. Bananas are good. You guys know I love that screen name. Says, haha, 0% for the 13th Doctor. Ouch. I would say the 8th Doctor, typical choice, but he is a very fun Doctor who always is a joy to watch on screen. Some stuff leading up to the Time War would be interesting. Unknown 289, who is also one of my patrons, says, I would want to see maybe 12 in Big Finish played by Capaldi or a better voice impersonator than Jacob Dudman. His 11 is good, but his 12 not so much. It does work on the short trips. Regeneration Impossible somewhat, and A Song for Running. Might want to see 13 in Big Finish as well. Who knows? Maybe 13 could be redeemed in Big Finish the way 6 was. Paul Bailey, a fellow YouTuber, says, Paul McGann all the way. Of course, Big Finish, we know he is an amazing Doctor, but he needs more love, as most fans don't listen to Big Finish. But if me, it's helping him more up to my top 5 Doctors. I think move up to my top 5 Doctors, I think is what he's going for there. Problem Being says, definitely McGann is long overdue. Basil Funkenstein, what a name. Says gotta be 8, surely. Cody W1, also a fellow YouTuber, says, McGann, totally wasted. No interest in Whittaker or Bradley's terrible First Doctor cosplay. And then Tedious Milkshake, which is another name I absolutely love, says 7. I would love more of McCoy. I'll be honest, I would love more of McCoy. So most people down in the comments saying 8 as well. McGann just totally owning this poll completely. I also would love more of the 8th Doctor. So if you didn't get to vote in this poll, I want to know what you think. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. We did cross 1,000 subscriptions recently. I'm very excited about that. I finally got to monetize the channel, so there will be a few more ads. Bear with me on that. I would love to eventually grow the channel to where I could maybe work less at my full-time job and focus more on here, so I could really work on this channel, expand a couple of the other channels. There's more stuff I really want to do content-wise. It's time and burnout. So I do have the ads turned on. Please have patience with those. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you. YouTube memberships are now available. I still have the Patreon if you would like to support me on Patreon, if you'd rather go that route. The link to that is down below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support as I do the support of all of my patrons. It really does help and make a difference. Several different tiers to choose from there. I have, and they get early access to a lot of stuff. Almost every video I post on this channel, the Patreon gets early access to it. Sometimes extremely early access, like a month or 2 ahead, because you guys know I tend to film things way ahead sometimes. Stuff gets shuffled around. That's why my hair is always changing length. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, and a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. I did update that recently if anyone wants to check that out. Most importantly, as always, thank you for watching.